So another question that I'd like to ask you both is, and this is in response to some of the people who are not in favor of this, and that is that the city council is trying to impose their will on the citizens by coming up with their list, if you will. So kind of speak to the whole representative government aspect of this, obviously, and then secondly, and maybe you could touch on this, Gary, that this list comes from the citizens and was not something that y'all mandated. So
that's a great question. And I want to be real clear about the answer, which is that the list was not comprised by council. I mean, council members did not help select those projects. They ultimately have approved putting out for vote what the Comprehensive Plan Committee brought to them. But council members didn't participate in that committee, except for myself and Kasia, who were the liaisons and helped, just organize meetings. But council didn't participate in that. So it would be very inaccurate to say that it's a list that council has created. And I do also want to be clear about council's intentions, or at least my intentions as a council member, that the reason you put something out for a vote through a bond like this is that you allow people to have a voice. So as an individual citizen, you can come out and say, yes, I want to do the parks. Yes, I want to do the infrastructure. Yes, I want our public safety to be improved, and I am willing to add some money to my property tax bill to make that happen. And we can talk about that and how that works, what that looks for people. But that is up to you. So that is really, a popular vote by the citizens where City Council has said, this is not in our hands. This is what we want you to decide, and you tell us what to do.
This is not unlike the votes that were held back in 2015 and 14 from the citizens to say, do you believe and support in this comprehensive plan? Would you be willing to have your taxes increase? And as I remember, 70 to 75% of the votes were positive for all of those things, where they said, yes, as a citizenry, we are willing to move forward with these types of things, and yes, we are willing to consider paying for them.
That's right.
In the manner in which we're talking.
But it's not. So I do want to be just real clear about the differences. So it's not an increase in your tax rate. That's what council could vote on, and we could raise your tax rate, and then we could do those projects without voter approval.
Right.
I mean, those are things that council could do. That's exactly right. We've chosen to give it to you, so it's not a tax rate increase. You would, for a period of time, have an increase to pay for the debt that would be incurred, but we really want to hear from the citizens. Is this what you want? Then let's do it.
And again, we'll come back to that tax issue in just a second. I wanted to ask you also to speak to the whole citizen aspect of it, since you're not an elected official and you, like the other folks serving on the committee, serve as a volunteer. Right.
Yeah, this list is a result of citizen input, and it was cultivated or condensed based on citizen input. It was then handed over to City Council, and they didn't alter the list at all. They took what myself and the rest of the Comprehensive Action Plan Committee took from the comprehensive plans list and just handed it over. They carved it into 3 pieces because I think there was a legal reason that they did that. But other than that, we're voting on the list put together by the citizens of Longview.
And y'all cut and pasted, I'm sure, from a much larger list of things that were not only in there, but again, I remember from my time on the council, there's always a street that needs to be paved or a building that needs to be renovated. And so again, I would envision, I wasn't there, but y'all had probably some pretty...
We started at 170. So when we had our first comprehensive plan meeting where we really looked at what projects we might consider, we started at 170 million worth of projects.
Candidly, probably some pretty good conversation between some people who might feel strongly about one thing versus another.
Yeah, but it was all, it was all above board. Everybody, constructively criticized certain things, and we all came to agreement. I don't think we ever left a meeting where someone was, upset that they didn't get their way or something wasn't moved on the list in a certain direction. And so it was a great experience, and I'd do it all over again.
Well, there's a give and take to the process, isn't there? Let's get a little bit inside baseball here for a second. Everybody, and myself included, when you hear tax increase, you want, okay, what does that mean to me? And I think the city's done a real fine job over the years of when we've retired debt, as we've taken on new debt, so that the total debt that the city really incurs has maintain a certain level, but on going forward here, what's the worst case scenario? How long does it take to get to that point? Can you speak to that?
Sure, good question. And you'd asked why now earlier, and that's actually part of the response because we have current bond debt obligations, and some of those are retiring in the upcoming years. And so when we look at when is a good time to do a new bond election, when you have some retiring bond debt, that's a good time to look at it. So if we were to approve all three of these bond elections, what we'd be looking at is retiring a certain amount of debt. I believe it's about $12 million in the next 3 to 5 years. And so when we talk about what the potential increase would be to an individual's taxes, it already includes that retiring debt. That's been factored into the numbers that we're providing. So what we would anticipate property taxes could increase to would be an additional 8 cents per $100 of valuation, which is a little bit insider baseball. So what that means to someone is if your house is valued on the Gregg County tax rolls at $100,000, you would pay $80 additional per year in property taxes.
And that would be at the very end, once all phases have been
That's an
completed,
excellent point.
correct?
And so that's not, we voted on the bond, instantly my taxes will go up that $80. That's over a period of 20 years, which is the amortization period for that bond. It would go up potentially to that 8 cents, but there would be periods where it would be at 4 or 5. It would go up to that and then go back down. So that would be at the peak for about 3 years is kind of our worst case scenario.
And then, given opportunities, perhaps the city can restructure debt, bring that back down.
That's exactly right.
And of course, there are certain members of our community that don't pay property taxes.
Excellent point. Yes, if you are over the age of 65, your property taxes are frozen. So this vote, while you would continue to pay what you are already paying, it would not increase what you are currently paying in property taxes.
I'm only a year away from that. I like the sound of it. There's one other thing I want to ask, and I'm sure you want to touch on too, and that is how can people find out more information on their own? I'm sure there's a Facebook page, some other sources that people can go to. You want to speak to that?
Sure, yes. There is a group that is working towards supporting the bond. So if you were to go to vote yes on the 2018 Longview bond on Facebook, you could like that page and see some information. Really, I think the biggest hurdle that we have is just getting information out there, making sure that people understand what projects are included, what those projects could mean to them, and find something that they are supportive of. So if you would go like that page, share with your friends, there will be information on there between now and Election Day to help you get the word out.
And that information would be things like town hall meetings and other places that they could go to hear.
Absolutely, as well as, here's what a potential police station would look like. Here's the type of technology that'll help increase public safety in our town, increase response times, increase what they're able to do. So here's, kind of the nuts and bolts, more information than we've talked about today.
Great, super. Well, anything else either one of you would like to add?
No, I highly encourage you to get educated about the bond, learn what projects are on there, what they will mean to Longview in the long run, and join me in voting yes for all three of the bond elections on November 6th.
I agree. And as a Chamber of Commerce, we want to make sure that we bring information to you as a member of the Chamber, also to the community in general. And I hope you've appreciated and learned a few things today, and we'll hope to be bringing you more information in the future. Thanks again for being with us.
Howdy, folks. I started this series by saying I need your help. I'm going to close this series asking for your help. Truly, let's get out and vote yes for the upcoming bond election. And let's thank Kristen Ishihara, Richard Manley, and Gary Ford for visiting with us today about the why. Let's get the facts out, let's tell the truth, and let's move Longview forward and vote yes.